Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the mind of Steve Jobs, someone whose impact, well, you've probably touched something he influenced us today. Yet we're focusing on Leander Kahney's book, Inside Steve's Brain, which came out back in 2008. It's a really interesting look into his whole philosophy, perfectionism, leadership, even the quirks.
Exactly. And we're not just going through the timeline. We want to unpack how he did things and, crucially, why it all mattered so much. It's less biography, more digging into the principles that turned Apple around from, well, near death.
Right. Our mission here is to pull out the really key nuggets from the book, give you a shortcut to understanding what made Jobs tick and why it's still relevant. So what does this mean for us? As users, maybe as innovators? Let's dive in. Okay, first, let's paint a picture. Apple, 1997. This is not the Apple we know. Jobs himself, he famously said the company could. He was literally searching for the word could die. That's how bad it was.
It's kind of staggering, isn't it? I mean, they were the second biggest computer maker just a few years earlier, like 1994, almost 10% market share.
Yeah.
And then, bam, by 97, they're losing $1.6 billion, stocks in the toilet, market share down to 3%. And the book points a finger at things like licensing the Mac OS to clone makers.
Right, that totally backfired. Instead of expanding the Mac platform, it just stole sales from Apple itself.
Exactly. And when Jobs came back, the product line was, well, a mess. The book says 40 different products.
40. With confusing names, you couldn't tell what was what. Apparently, Jobs himself looked at it and basically said, which one should I tell my friends to buy? I can't even figure it out.
It really shows the chaos.
Uh-huh.
And, his return wasn't this master plan, apparently. It was almost accidental.
Yeah, the CEO then, Gil Amelio, he was looking at acquiring BIOS.
Right, but a salesman from NXT, Jobs' other company, sort of intervened. And Amelio got really impressed with NXT's operating system. It was just miles ahead of the old Mac OS, which the book calls creaky and old.
And here's the thing. Jobs, initially, he didn't even want to come back full-time. He was busy with Pixar, which is, taking off.
Right. So the idea that he engineered this whole coup against Amelio, the book kind of pushes back on that. It suggests the board was facing this huge $750 million loss and just didn't have anyone else.
He was the only option left, really.
So he comes back first as a special advisor, then they make him interim CEO, or ICEO as he called it.
And his first move wasn't like yelling or firing everyone on day one.
No, surprisingly calm, methodical. He spent weeks just quietly looking at every single product. No drama initially, just this very firm line. Everything needs to be justified.
And if it wasn't making money?
It had to go. Simple as that.
So, okay, he's done his survey, seen the chaos. What's the first big X swing then?
Radical simplification. Just brutal focus. He came up with that famous 2x2 grid. You remember?
Oh, yeah. Consumer versus pro.
And portable versus desktop. That's
Okay.
it. 4 machines.
Yeah.
End of story.
From 40 down to 4?
Yeah.
That's more than just trimming. That's amputation. Sounds incredibly risky for a company already bleeding money.
Oh, it was a massively gutsy move. Kahney really emphasizes this. Hundreds of software projects.
Yeah.
Gone. Almost all the hardware slashed.
Including things people actually liked, right? Like the Newton.
Exactly. The Newton handheld, which, yes, some people whispered was revenge against the former CEO, John Sculley. Who knows? But also getting out of laser printers that left millions on the table right there.
So what was the logic? Just cut costs.
It was more than that. His argument was philosophical, almost. Apple shouldn't be in the messy, low-margin commodity PC business. They should sell premium computers. Like luxury cars was his analogy. No race to the bottom.
And did it work? I mean, immediately.
The impact on inventory alone was staggering. Down from over $400 million to under $100 million in a single year, just by focusing.
Well, okay, so the focus clears the product clutter. Did it apply elsewhere, like partnerships?
Absolutely. It wasn't just internal. He tackled the external mess, too. He settled that big, damaging patent lawsuit with Microsoft.
That was huge, right? Getting Gates to commit to Office for Mac.
And even invest $150 million. That sent a signal. Plus, he realized underneath all the product problems, the brand, the Apple brand, was still powerful. A core asset, he called it.
Enter Think Different.
Exactly. That iconic campaign. And, controversially, he killed the Mac clone business overnight.
Ouch. That must have angered a lot of Mac users.
It did. Alienated quite a few.
Yeah.
But strategically, it meant Apple instantly got 100% of the Mac market back to itself. Total control.
Okay, so big strategy, ruthless focus. But the book also dives deep into Jobs, the details guy, the perfectionist.
Oh, massively. He's described as Apple's one-man focus group. famously said his market research was just his right hemisphere talks to the left hemisphere. He trusted his own gut, implicitly.
And the example of the scroll bars in Mac OS X, that's kind of legendary, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
6 months. The team spent 6 months refining scroll bars, pixel by pixel. And Jobs would apparently demand to see the working code side by side with the mock-ups.
And if they didn't match?
He'd yell. It had to be perfect, even something users might barely notice consciously. But he believed all those tiny details added up to the feel of quality. That's a key insight, you know. Excellence is in those micro details.
Makes you wonder about the pressure on those engineers. And then there were those seemingly odd ideas like the traffic light buttons for close, minimize, expand.
Red, yellow, green. Yeah, the team thought it was weird at first.
But it works. It's instantly intuitive.
And that ties into his whole definition of design. It wasn't just aesthetics for him. He said, design is the way the product works. It's fundamental.
So simplifying interfaces, like putting all the settings in one system preferences box.
Right, or stripping out features if they created button clutter, even if some power users wanted them. It was about making it fundamentally easier to use. Removing things is often harder design work than adding them, you know?
Yeah. He even obsessed about the packaging. That's taking it to another level.
Yeah, the original Mac box. Designed so you had to unpack the mouse separately just to get you used to it. That whole unpacking routine became a signature Apple thing, almost like unboxing theater.
It really is. Every single touch point mattered.
Totally. He even apparently wanted the inside of the Mac's circuit board to look good.
Yeah.
The engineers talked him out of that one, thankfully, but it shows the principle. Quality everywhere, visible or not.
Let's shift to people. Jobs had that famous line, didn't he? Hire only A players, fire the bozos.
Yep. Brutal but clear. He fundamentally believed a small team of truly top-tier people could run circles around huge teams of average engineers.
So how did he build those teams? What was the secret sauce? The book talks about Pixar, right?
Yeah, Pixar is a great case study in the book. The culture there was built around art is a team sport, and this idea of people investment through something called Pixar University.
Pixar University.
Yeah, offering classes, continuous learning for everyone. Janitors, accountants, animators, department heads. The idea was investing in people's growth makes them better, more loyal, more capable. It created this amazing talent magnet.
And at Apple, he had that shit-deflecting umbrella concept for the original Mac team.
Right. Protecting them from the corporate bureaucracy, letting them just focus on being creative, and keeping teams small, deliberately small. He didn't want the Mac team ever getting bigger than 100 people.
He also seemed to thrive on argument, didn't he? He liked people pushing back.
Oh, definitely. He sought out pugilistic partners, people who weren't afraid to engage in intellectual combat. He'd apparently test people.
Yeah.
He'd stayed a really strong position, maybe one he didn't even fully believe.
Just to see if you'd defend your own idea.
Exactly. If you just rolled over, if you were a yes man, you were, quote, doomed. That intense debate was core to how he made decisions.
Is the iPhone pricing an example of that?
Perfect example. Launched at $600, huge backlash from early adopters just 2 months later when they dropped it to $400. And what did Jobs do?
He apologized publicly, gave a $100 credit.
Right. He listened to the feedback, the debate from the market, and admitted they'd priced it wrong. That willingness to argue, but also to listen and change course, that's key for leaders, isn't it? It's about getting to the best idea, not just winning the argument.
And that partnership with Lee Clow, the ad guy, produced some truly iconic stuff.
Decades-long partnership with TB Wakyude, 1984, Think Different. Jobs reportedly gave Clow total creative freedom. And the result wasn't just ads, they were cultural moments.
Let's talk innovation. Apple's got this huge reputation now, obviously. But the book makes a point that for a long time, they were more like an R&D lab for others.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. Like, they pioneered the graphical user interface.
And Microsoft ran away with it commercially.
Exactly. And what's really telling is Jobs' attitude towards trying to systematize innovation. He apparently hated the idea.
Hated it.
He supposedly said trying to systemize innovation is like somebody who's not cool trying to be cool. It's painful to watch. He even compared it to watching Michael Dell try to dance. Painful.
Ouch. So what was his approach instead?
Just focus on making great products. That was the system. Hire great people, argue about ideas, obsess over details, and make something insanely great. The insight maybe is that forcing innovation through rigid processes can actually kill it. Sometimes you just need to empower good people.
They have missteps though, right? The G4 Cube comes to mind.
Oh yeah, the Cube. Gorgeous machine, won design awards.
Yeah.
But it didn't sell. The book frames it as a rare case of form over function for Jobs. an experiment that failed. But crucially, he learned from it, realized he'd misjudged what the market actually wanted there.
But he did have a larger innovation strategy, didn't he? The digital hub.
Yes, absolutely. That was
Yeah.
key. Announced at Macworld in 2001, this big vision. The Mac wasn't just a computer anymore. It was the central hub for managing your whole digital life.
Cameras, music players, phones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Digital cameras, camcorders, MP3 players, eventually cell phones. It shifted Apple's focus completely. Instead of fighting the old losing battle for business desktops, they pivoted to this new world of digital entertainment and communication. That's a huge lesson. Find the new battlefield.
He was also good at spotting trends, those vectors going in time.
Yeah, anticipating where technology was headed, like jumping on USB early, even though Intel invented it.
Yeah.
Apple made it standard on the iMac. And he wasn't shy about borrowing ideas.
Stealing them, as he might say.
Well, yeah. He cited Japanese rice cookers as inspiration for the MagSafe magnetic power adapter on MacBooks. Good ideas are good ideas, wherever they come from.
Okay, we have to talk about the iPod. It feels like the product where everything we've discussed just came together. It changed everything for Apple.
Absolutely pivotal. And its origin story really highlights Jobs' approach. It came from seeing an opportunity where others were failing.
He was looking at video initially, wasn't he?
Yeah, but then he saw these early MP3 players, like the Creative Nomad Jukebox. And they were clunky, slow file transfers, confusing interfaces, terrible battery life.
Basically ripe for disruption.
Exactly. He saw the flaws as Apple's opening. That's classic Jobs.
Yeah.
Find something that's not working well and make it great. It shows the power of just observing user frustration.
And the tech itself, the tiny hard drive.
That was key. John Rubinstein, Apple's hardware chief then, found this tiny 1.8-inch drive from Toshiba. But it wasn't just one component. It was how they put it all together.
Under intense secrecy, the book says.
Oh, yeah. Super secret project. Used a lot of off-the-shelf parts, actually, to speed things up. But the magic, the part Apple built from scratch, was that user interface.
The scroll wheel.
The iconic click wheel, yeah. And interestingly, the book says the initial idea for a wheel interface didn't come from a designer. It came from Phil Schiller, the head of marketing.
No way.
Yeah, which really underlines Jobs' philosophy. Don't worry where the ideas come from. Good ideas are good ideas. It was a collaborative back-and-forth process.
And the integration with iTunes was just seamless.
That was the other killer app, really. Automatic syncing, like the old Palm Hotsync. You just plugged it in. Jobs' description was perfect.
Right.
Plug it in, we're done. Made it effortless.
And the name, iPod. It wasn't Jobs' idea either.
Nope. Came from a freelance copywriter, Vinny Chayko. He saw the white prototype and thought of the pods from 2001, a space odyssey. You know, open the pod bay door, Hal.
Huh. That's amazing.
Jobs apparently hated it at first, rejected it. But it tested well, so we eventually went with it. And here's a wild detail. Apple had already trademarked the name iPod.
For the music player.
No. For some planned internet kiosk project that never happened. Jobs didn't even know. Just shows how compartmentalized Apple was even then. Bit of luck involved, too.
Okay, so let's talk about one of the biggest defining elements of Jobs' philosophy and Apple's whole approach. Total control. Owning the whole widget.
Yes, the whole stack. Hardware, software, services, everything integrated.
Why was he so obsessed with that control? It seems counterintuitive in some ways, especially back then.
Well, the book argues it was both practical and philosophical. Practically, he believes a closed system was just more stable, more reliable, more secure, easier to make things just work.
Hiding the complexity from the user.
Exactly. Philosophically, he wanted to curate the entire experience, to make complex technology simple and elegant for ordinary people. And for Jobs, that required controlling all the pieces. It wasn't about limiting choice necessarily, but about ensuring quality and harmony.
Like the original Mac having no cooling fan because he hated the noise.
Right. Or using special screws so people couldn't easily open it up and mess with it. The lack of expansion slots, too. That drove the PC world crazy.
Because they were all about customization and third-party cards.
Yeah, but those third-party drivers caused crashes. Jobs wanted to end that system chaos, even if, as the book notes, it was not very practical for the PC industry standard at the time.
It's the complete opposite of Microsoft's model, right? Licensing Windows to everyone.
Diametrically opposed. And critics slammed Apple for it for years, said refusing to license the Mac OS cost them the desktop war, predicted the same doom for the iPod's closed system.
But that prediction didn't quite pan out.
Not at all. And ironically, as Kahney points out, Microsoft eventually started trying to copy Apple's whole widget playbook with things like the Xbox and the Zune, trying to control the hardware and software experience more tightly.
So maybe Jobs' instincts weren't wrong, just early.
That's the argument the book makes. His right instincts at the wrong time for the early PC era turned out to be perfectly suited for the digital entertainment age we live in now. Consumers do often want that seamless, easy-to-use, integrated experience.
And the Apple stores are maybe the ultimate expression of that control, extending beyond the device itself.
Absolutely incredible example. They weren't just shops. They were designed as solution zones, learning environments. The focus was on the whole ownership experience, not just a quick retail transaction.
No sales commissions for the staff, right?
Yeah, right. Instead, they had roles like McGenius. The goal wasn't just to sell you a box, but to, as they put it, enrich lives. And they obsessed over the details there, too. They actually built a secret, full-scale prototype store in a warehouse first.
Wow, to test everything.
Everything. Layout, lighting, workflow, the Genius Bar. It shows how that whole widget thinking applied to every single customer interaction, designing the entire journey.
So let's try and wrap this up. Thinking about inside Steve's brain, what are the biggest takeaways for you? We've seen the simplification, the perfectionism, the A-player teams, the whole widget.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think connecting it all, his legacy isn't just the iconic products, right? It's those underlying principles, that relentless, almost obsessive focus on the user experience.
And the sheer courage to say no, not just to bad ideas, but to good ideas, to keep things focused on the great ones.
Exactly, and fostering that culture of intense debate, that intellectual combat where the best ideas could win, even if they weren't his initially.
Yeah.
Believing creativity thrives on that friction.
He really demonstrated that breakthrough change doesn't always come from huge R&D budgets necessarily. Sometimes it's about that singular vision, that unwavering demand for excellence in every single detail.
Which I guess leaves a question for you, the listener. Thinking about your own work, your own projects or passions, where could applying some of that extreme focus, that design is how it works, thinking, or maybe even just a tiny bit of that despotic attention to detail, where might that unlock something unexpected for you?
Something to think about. That's all for this deep dive. We hope you feel better informed, maybe a bit inspired by looking inside Steve's brain via Connie's book. Until next time, keep digging deep.